So,
All right. Well, I am going to act as the host here, and we'll get things started. This is a workshop intended to help people with recovery-based issues, and for me personally, I've discovered that recovery is something that can apply to any of your mental health issues. It's not limited to addictions, uh, and it's my belief and understanding that all mental health and all addictions are trauma related. And so, the things that we do in recovery basically help heal those traumas and can benefit pretty much anybody who's interested in doing that. There's several different approaches to recovery. I have a background in 12-step recovery and participate in several programs. And Selena and Arcturus have completely different methods, and they basically do the same thing. So, this is a good seminar to just talk about recovery and the types of options that are available to people. Um, and I wanted to start by asking some questions of the panel, and just see what things you guys have to offer. I sent these questions to Selena earlier. Arcturus, we're going to have to blindside you and just ask you flat out. But Selena, what are some of the methods that you use? I understand you have 4 steps that help people manage their traumas and their conditions. So, would you care to share those with us?
yes, Jeff. I focused on RTT, which is Marisa Peer's method, the rapid transformational therapy. And I love this method because it's very, it's very effective. It helped me myself because I did not plan to become a practitioner in the beginning, but I discovered that um, it is a breakthrough for myself. You know, um, if I may state a short description about RTT. If anybody here know about RTT by Marisa Peer, Arcturus, maybe you do? Oh, David?
I cannot say that I do.
Oh, okay. It's a rapid transformational therapy. It's different than a traditional hypnotherapy. Of course, hypnotherapy is also a very important element in the process, but there is this 21 days recording. Yeah, you have to listen to the recording, and it is the purpose of this is really to reprogram the mind, to delete the old beliefs, to install new empowering beliefs, which is we focus on this powerful phrase, which is understanding is power. So that is the core of the tools, the process. So maybe it is a lot if I have to tell you the whole thing, but at least you have an idea how it works. So um the purpose of this 21 days listening to the audio recording is to really install new empowering beliefs. And when we talk about addiction, um, this is, Jeff can maybe explain more about addiction because he is really an expert in this. I've learned a lot from Jeff, and because I don't focus on addiction, but it is the same. This is the same. Like when it comes to confidence issue, it boils down to um childhood issue, like feeling not enough. Um, yeah, that's why addiction is just like a way of compensating what we did not have, and that is a very very broad concept in there. So when we have inner child issue, we develop this I am not enough syndrome. And RTT is about eliminating that I am not enough syndrome in order to really reprogram our subconscious mind that whatever bad things that happen to us, the trauma and the feeling of not being validated during our childhood, it developed, that the trauma, and people will go find a compensation, go become addict on something, alcohol, smoking, all kinds, different addiction, but it boils down to the same cause. That's how it is. So me myself, I was I was really, my addiction was overthinking, the worst kind of all addiction. So it was amazing when I discovered that understanding is power. Just have to understand what's going on. That's why my steps, I applied it during the follow up after the 21 days. Is the 4 steps. Jeff has 12 steps, but it's just the same. It's like one book in different languages, as we call it. So I have 4 steps as a follow up, um, for total transformation, to leave addiction, to become confident, to become the best version of yourself. Um, it's just I simplified it, but Jeff elaborate the 4 steps in 12 steps, and that's why we work together. Because my steps is just, first is acknowledgement. We have to acknowledge that there is something that we need to work on, and then we have to understand why. What is the cause? Why are we having this thing? Why are we not confident enough? Why are we become an addict of something? And then there comes the acceptance. We have to accept that not everything is under our control. And then we have to process that. That is very, very, you know, that is not the easiest part to accept, because the subconscious mind is always contradicting. So it's very simple. It's 4 steps, but it takes, for me, for my clients, after the 21 days intensive workshop, it takes like 3 to 6 months, and sometimes 1 year, and sometimes longer. It depends. It really depends on how committed the person is for the transformation, because acceptance is, it is like, people understand. They say, okay, I understand, I know there is something, but then when it comes to acceptance, there are a lot of work in there, because the mind will tell us, no, you deserve better, just compensate it, just go back to addiction, you deserve it, no one cares for you. That drug, that alcohol will give you the pleasure that no one gives you. But guess what, we have to focus that is just temporary, and in the long run it will destroy us. So that is, the acceptance is really very crucial among the 4 steps. And then if you accept it, if we can accept it, like fully accept it, and before we fully accept it, that there is something, we have to work on accepting ourselves, no matter what situation we are, what status we are in our lives, what do we do, what do as work, as a person, as a rule, as a parent, a brother, a friend, a colleague, whatever. We have to install the belief that we are enough, that we are enough, we are special, and that makes it really difficult. And if we get to the point where we say, okay, this is me, this is who I am, and I'm not gonna let myself be affected with other people's judgment. Knowing yourself really gives you the power to, not that you don't care. We care because we are in the society. We need people. We care. But because we are very, very confident in our intentions, on how we know ourselves that well, we stand strong. And then it will get easy to let go of what don't serve us. But seems easy though, but that is the most difficult part, the letting go. That's why I simplify it, but the work in between each step is amazing. It's very overwhelming.
Yeah. The expression simple, not easy comes into. So
Yes.
if I could step in, and I just want to share what I experienced with Selena when I really needed it. I'll describe my situation and why I support her so much. Through Alcoholics Anonymous, I learned that I was suffering badly with resentments and character defects. And I talk about this a lot, how, the mental health industry really doesn't have the definition of these things clear enough. And use a different language that it's more recovery based. And I'd like to suggest that resentment is a resentment, that anytime we think about it, it upsets us in some way, either get angry or depressed. And it's any moment in time that we experience the emotional signature of shame. So, ultimately, recovery is a shame removal system. And so, like Selena was saying, we need to identify what are these moments of shame, what are our personal traumas, and how do we reach acceptance on each of them so that we can move on with life and eliminate what Arcturus would call limiting beliefs. And when I met with her, I was suffering really badly with bipolar disorder and PTSD, and I was having a lot of really big emotional outbursts, and had been for several years. And I knew at this point what was wrong with me, but knowing that I was holding on to resentments wasn't enough to get me to acceptance. It's not enough to know better. You have to process the information. You have to process your emotions. And when I met with her, we discussed, what were the things that were upsetting me. They were definitely rooted in my childhood. I remember talking about the resentment I have towards my father, and she asked me, well, what would you want to say to him now? And I said to her, I'm done talking, because at this point I was just ready to beat him to death. Luckily for him, he was already deceased. But, after telling her about these anger issues that I had, she took time and created some custom guided meditations that basically helped reparent my mind and teach me that it's okay to let go of this anger. It's okay that these things happened, and I know why they had to happen. And I don't have to punish myself anymore. That I can leave this anger behind. And I was ready for it, and that's I firmly believe the only reason these treatments worked for me is because I was ready for it. I was ready, willing, and able to put in the time and dedicate myself to listening to her recordings for the minimum 21 days required, so that I could reprogram my mind. And that's really what this hypnotherapy amounts to. It's willingly reprogramming your mind to a belief that's healthier for you. And so at the end of the 21 days, I experienced a great deal of relief. I continue to use the recordings as like background music as I go to sleep. And just the sound of her soothing voice and the meditation music, it reminds me of the things that I learned when I was really intensely listening to the tapes. And it works, it works. I have no medical treatment, no psychologist, no pills, nothing to treat bipolar disorder and PTSD. But I can say with confidence that those conditions are in remission at this time. And I credit her and AA for helping me figure out what was wrong with me. And I want to point out to people that are not aware of this: addiction is not a substance issue; it's a thinking disorder. The problem with addiction is that we tend to obsess. And this is true for many people. We tend to obsess and ruminate over things, and what we're obsessing about are the things we cannot yet accept. So in Selena's 4 steps and the 12 steps of recovery, that's what we're learning, is how to let go and accept the circumstances and things that have happened to us in our lives. So anything else you care to share about that, Selena?
Yeah. Before we go further, Jeff, I would love to hear a short background. I think I believe these two gentlemen. Maybe a short if it's okay for you
Sure.
to get to know them, because it's amazing they are here, and I want to know them a little bit. David is already a friend of mine on Facebook. Yeah.
Recently, yep.
But I haven't. I did not have time to go over. I just look a little, but I did not really get enough information. So, if David first, if you would like to say a little bit to get to know you, it's okay for you,
Sure.
Jeff?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely a recovering alcoholic. I'm a grateful alcoholic. Just recently celebrated 3 years sober on March 25th.
Great.
The biggest thing that I thought about when you were speaking was working with Jeff over the last 6 to 9 months. We've started to delve into some of my childhood issues that could relate to why my alcoholism and my addiction occurred. They're family related, and I really didn't until the last 6 to 9 months start getting into that aspect of how traumas from my adolescence manifest themselves in my life, especially now that I've gotten sober, because without the cloud of alcohol over my mind, all of these things are now, coming out in my behaviors. It was really, I'm married recently. I have a stepdaughter, just turned 16. It was an interesting time growing up. My father's a retired police officer. He worked 49 years in 2 different departments, so he's been fully retired for about 8 years. My parents have been married 55 years, coming up next month. But I've been really blessed to have come into the program this time. Really quickly, I came to accept my step 1 from the 12 steps when I had my last seizure from alcohol withdrawal on March 27th of 2021. At that time, my current wife actually videotaped it. And once she realized I was seizing and not just acting unusual, she called an ambulance. I spent 6 days in hospital, medically detoxing. I went to treatment. And then after about 9 or 10 months in the program, I finally met Jeff at a meeting. After talking, I knew he was the person I wanted to work with, and he's been my sponsor ever since. At this point, we like to consider each other co-sponsors, because when we talk, we kind of see who's having what going on at that particular time, and we'll kind of bounce things off each other, which is why it's really it's been beneficial that I found him. But things are good, and working on accepting life on life's terms is kind of where I'm at still today. Like I said, my wife has some issues. I mean, everybody does, but accepting, working on. I took some notes here of what you were saying, because I definitely want to remember. But acceptance, not just of me, but of things around me and life in general, is still the big thing I'm trying to work on.
Yeah, it's for me, it's so overwhelming. It's an honor for me to have you here, guys, especially we started with Jeff and our story, how we get here. So, David, the fact that you are here is already we all have issues, all of us, not only four of us here, but all of us, everybody, and that we are here unconsciously, we are planting a seed, at least a seed of consciousness that we are going forward for the better. And this time I want to hear Arcturus. I hope I said right.
That's correct. Thank you,
Arcturus.
Selena. And thank you for sharing, David.
Thank you.
My journey
Thank you, David.
began many years ago, and what you've said about pretty much everything being traced back to childhood is completely true. It's even beyond childhood because mine started in the womb. I was the circumstance of a 14-year-old that convinced a 13-year-old that she couldn't get pregnant standing up. And through the healing I've done, I became aware only just a couple of years ago of what I actually took from her emotionally. She was terrified that people were going to take me away from her. So she hid me from her parents. She was also adopted. Um, so that fear of being taken away, forced against her will, etc., being embarrassed of it, a lot of shame issues in that,
Mm.
I had carried with me my entire life. It didn't start expressing itself until I was 14 in relationships for the first time. That's when the suicidal thoughts came out. And my
Mm.
addiction was to basically escape this planet. I did whatever I could, risky behavior, eat fast food, drugs, alcohol, because I did not want to be here. Astral travel, I was exploring the spiritual side, so I could escape. And I could
Yeah,
dissociate from
very
my body and leave.
interesting. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Until I had a child, and a lot of that will break down the body, and I just couldn't drink anymore. I mean, I would get a hangover from one beer for 2 weeks, and like, this just isn't worth it anymore. I finally started to accept that, you know what, I can do differently. It doesn't have to be like this. There is a way to heal. Whatever I'm holding on to, I can find out what it is. After being told how many times by professionals that this is just something you can deal with your whole life, I never believed them, but I kept going back to them because where else do we know to turn? Alternative healing wasn't easy to discover or find. So I was listening to the professionals that were taught the same stuff, reading the same books from the same people. That you just have to take these pharmaceutical drugs and manage it the best you can. See a therapist once a week.
Wow.
It was a
Amazing.
pharmaceutical drug that actually almost did kill me. That
Yeah, my.
woke me up to, you know, I got to stop this. I did whatever I could to change. I started juicing to kick the fast food cravings and the sugar cravings and took control of my life until I had an epiphany, an aha moment. It lasted a half hour, energy rushing in through my crown all the way down my spine. And I felt unconditional love for the first time ever. And everything just made sense. That was 8 years ago. So I've been on the path of healing myself and then walking the journey with other people healing themselves. I'm a healer, but I don't heal anyone else. I can just help people discover that they can also heal. And a lot of the things we do, the essence of what we do, I work with a partner, so we balance the masculine and feminine energies. And the essence is to help people align their body, their mind, and their behavior with spirit, which is unconditional love. It's all powerful. It's all knowing.
Yes. Unconditional
And
love. This
just
exact.
discovering what is out of alignment, asking
Wow.
questions, helping them discover it, and then choosing to let go, just like you said, when they're ready, if they've accepted it. A lot of people struggle with that word acceptance because we're conditioned to think of it as tolerance. No, you just have to accept that it's there. You can also
Mm.
accept that you can't change it. To tolerate it is the way most people think of acceptance, like, well, this is just something I have to deal with the rest of my life. The way mainstream doctors and therapists pretty much
Mm.
tell you about everything. But yeah,
Yeah.
acceptance is just accepting that it is there. Right now, in this moment, this is what I'm experiencing. But it doesn't have to stay that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
acceptance doesn't mean that you like something. It means that you have emotional sobriety, that it no longer upsets you. And
Yeah.
that's the real point of acceptance, is getting to the point where emotions don't control our behaviors.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing, Arcturus. Very interesting. Yeah, we all believe that just all one word, acceptance, and that is really it maybe it differs a little bit how we do it, but we have the same goal, just to live the life that is something that is different than what we are used to. Like we are here because we know that there must be something that we need to improve, we need to balance, we need to maintain. That is what I feel. We are only four, but every time I, even if I am in a bigger group, it's all the same. Why people gather together? We have this same goal, this same yeah, belief. Or at least we believe that there is a common goal, and that makes it really very, you know, profound. In when we talk, one brain, our two brains is better than one. That's always. And we can learn from each other. We can add up what we have already learned. And yeah, that is just amazing. And we are all here because we are all flawed. We are not perfect, and we all have a kind of addiction. When I remember when I was 4 year old, I I did not really expect that I would be here with you guys, amazing gentlemen. I was like, I don't know if I told you, Jeff, that I was an unwanted child. My mother tried to abort me so many times, but did not succeed. When I was 4 year old, I was watching the sun every morning, the sunrise, and wondering what is behind the mountain where the sun came from, and what is behind the mountain where the sun sets, because I was like imprisoned in a village where the farmers, all of us were farmers, and my parents did not believe in education, because you just have to stay in one village, and just no, we didn't have the right to explore the world, because we were tenants, we were farmers. And then I was a rebel daughter, and I was beaten, I was verbally, emotionally, physically abused by particularly my mother. And at the age of 7, I ran away. And then that was the time that I was running away until I get here in Europe. And in between, I've experienced abuse in all forms. And but in my mind, was always thinking there must be something better. There must be something better. But there are days that I wanted to give up. Like I was all constantly thinking, what? And then up and down, life is going back and forth. And now I understand that we don't have to let our past define us, our trauma, our pains. We don't have to let them define us, because we can do better. We deserve better. And then if we understand everything that's happening, like what Archer said, that you are doing astral travel, right? Did you?
It was one of my things to cope. to escape.
Did you mention that? Yeah.
I did.
I become because of my experiences, I became open to anything, but yet attached to nothing. I don't judge. I am open. If it's oh, I do this and it makes me feel good, and I become curious, and I am very open to anything, and that is this. I think that is this very important as human being. We grow by observing others, by sharing and learning. And if we know people in a deep level, we realize that whatever we are going through, whatever we have been through, we're not alone. We have these different kinds of events in our lives, but the pain is the same, the joy is the same, and then that makes us feel we're not alone.
You mentioned something really key there. It's one of the core elements of recovery is having a safe atmosphere to share, having a safe atmosphere to talk about our past and the things that we're processing. Because confession is one of the factors of letting things go, and it's saying something that we all share. Each of you, I've done recovery work with. Each of you has your own past traumas, and it's shared confessions. And I've spent time with all three of you working through my traumas, and that's been a key part of my personal recovery. I wouldn't be where I am without the three of you. And Arcturus, we met 7 years ago, and he was there before, during, and after I experienced a psychotic break. And he remained my friend, and he continued to give me support even when I was in my most erratic behaviors, because he had enough of his own past traumas to understand what I was going through. And I've been to 9 different therapists throughout my life, and they all failed me. None of them really got to the core issues that were causing the problems in my life until I met up with Selena, who understood me because she had her own past traumas that she was processing and healing from, and so she also understood me. And David, he has been a model sponsee, and like he says, we work these steps together. It's an equal exchange. Even though I've been doing it longer, that doesn't mean that I'm any kind of authority. It just means that I'm more experienced. So we're equals in recovery.
Amazing. Yeah. To add the feeling of safety. Yes, that is really very important. That is also the first thing that I tell my um anybody I meet, like the client or anybody. It's like if you feel safe, then we have something to work on. If you feel safe within the space that I provided, then there is something we can do. But if not, there is nothing. Safety is very important, that you can be yourself, that you feel that whatever you do, whatever you say, there is no judgment. There is only understanding.
Right, right, very key.
Yeah,
So let's see. I had some other questions for you, Selena.
yeah,
Um,
sure.
how now? I don't really like the way I phrase this question. Let me rephrase it. How much time do you spend on average with each client?
How much time in total? Like the whole process, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have developed 11 weeks rapid transformation, but it really depends on the client. It really depends how comfortable the person is with me to open up, to really trust me that he is safe. And also, it depends how committed he is for the change, his goal, how important it is. We'll take simple example like to stop smoking. So I have one client. He said, like, I am ready. But I've been trying. I have to be very honest with you. I've been trying to stop for 5 consecutive years, but it didn't work. I stopped for a week, for a month, the longest, and then go back to smoking. And I asked him, why are you here now? Why? What make you think that this time it will work? And he said, my wife is pregnant, and I am worried about the health of the child and my wife. And now I have to do this. I really have to follow what you are going to say. And I was like, okay, that is a very good goal, but you have to know that my core message is choose you first. No matter how important the people are in your life, you still have to find a reason why you want to do it for yourself. And for him, it's a little bit crucial because for him, it's all about his wife, it's all about his child. But I I told him, you have to focus on yourself, because if you think about your own health first, then it is easier. What if the relationship will not work after a year?
Yeah.
You do it for your wife, you do it for the child. What if the relationship falls apart in months while you are busy in therapy? So, what is the chance? Chance is he will become hopeless again. He will go back to smoking. So that is very, very important that I tell my client, that is really, do not use other people for your goal, because it will not work. So as long as the person is committed for his own benefits, we have to focus on our own. Why is it so important to me? Because the rest will follow. The rest will follow. And then the back to the question, Jeff, how long? It really depends. Some, for based on my experience with clients, there are few that after 21 days they are really doing great. They just need a follow-up session, like 30 minutes call. It's like a reminder, and they are doing well. But for some, it depends on how often the relapse happens, and sometimes they have to redo the 21 days, and then the follow-up sessions within 3 to 6 months. So it really depends. And some say, I want to have a lifetime guidance. And I said, okay, you may not need it, but we will do it as long as you need it. But you don't have to be dependent that I'm there to remind you. You have to build the muscle to trust yourself and to depend, to just be there for yourself. Because for me, I don't mind if you stay for a lifetime with me, but the point is, you have to build the confidence. You have to believe that you yourself is powerful enough to do it alone. I am still be here as a friend, I consider my clients as family and friends, but not that you will depend on me for therapy for a lifetime, because that's not the goal.
I want to talk on everything you said because those are all very, very valid points, and I have a different language for it. So in 12-step recovery, you're the equivalent of a 12-step sponsor. The sponsor's goal is to get you through the steps one time effectively and then give you occasional support beyond that. And you might have a lifetime connection with them, but your need for them should diminish. Otherwise, you really aren't working the steps properly. So there's nothing wrong with developing a friendship in recovery, but it's completely different to become dependent on anyone else
Yeah.
for your recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to point out, especially to people who have substance addictions, there's this thing called hitting bottom. And hitting bottom it's a psychic change where you go from maybe I can handle this to I can't do this anymore and I need help. And there's a very distinct difference in your mentality when you have that psychic shift. Now, for some people, that represents an emotional breakdown. They cry a lot, they release a lot of trauma when they hit bottom. But there's other circumstances that it can happen, like just a big wake up call, like David had when he realized what was happening to him when he drank. It was like, a ghost walked over his soul. He just went, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. But the message was the same. He went from drinking is an option to drinking is not an option. I need help. And until we reach that point, treatments really are mildly effective. I'm not going to say that it's bad to get treatment for your conditions, but I'm going to say it's not very effective unless you hit bottom. And then once you get through the steps and once you've completed the sessions or whatever the process is, you need a new life process to replace the things that you used to do that would cause you to want to smoke or drink or use drugs. So with that, AA suggests recovery unity service, which means you continue to work on yourself, you help other people with the same problems that you have, because that helps give you a constant reminder of why you don't want to return to those behaviors. And whenever possible, unity would be being part of some type of fellowship of other like-minded people. That you become accountable. You have a bunch of accountability partners in your life where you can talk about something that happened at work or something that happened with your wife. So, that's my suggestion, is that, it's not, there's no flaw in the process. The flaw is in, have you hit bottom yet? Which means, have you hurt yourself enough where you're willing to change permanently? And are you willing to replace your old behaviors with new behaviors? Because if you don't make some kind of change in your life, then all of these treatments are temporary solutions.
I agree, Jeff. And if I may interject just real quick, I do apologize because I do have to leave in a few minutes to an engagement. But, I had been to treatment prior to 2021 a couple of times, but I wasn't ready. The first time was after my divorce in 2015, which was a direct result. My wife left me while I was in the hospital after my first 2 seizures. But it wasn't until that moment in 2021 where I really knew and essentially had steps 1, 2, 3, and 12 happen for me in about a 1-month period. And when I left treatment, I saw a very good drug counselor for a year, and he helped me do exactly kind of what Jeff said, is as much as I might have others in my life, when it comes down to my recovery, I have to always remember I'm doing it for myself. And kind of also right along with what you said, Selena, even now, I still have to remind, my spouse, my family, others in the fellowship. If I'm not sober, if I'm not working on me, nothing else matters. My job, my life, my ability to drive legally, and any material thing is irrelevant. If I ever lose fact of me and my recovery being the most important thing in my life until I take my last breath and God says you're done. And that's really what I try and maintain. And like Jeff said, sometimes I talk to him every week. Sometimes it's once a month, depending on where I'm at or where he's at. And that's where, when you have a good sponsor, you have those kind of relationship where I can just send a text or a message to him or someone in a meeting and have that ability to speak when I need to for myself. And some people need to speak to their sponsor every single morning, 365, and that's fine too. I'm just not there with my recovery. So I just wanted to add that, Selena and Arcturus, if I said that correctly. I appreciate meeting you, and I appreciate everybody's time today. But again, I do have to run, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Great. Thanks for
Thank
Thank you,
being here.
David.
you, David. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great day.
Bill, that leaves the three of us. Ryan, you have plans of your own. Did you want to talk at all about your process of recovery and how you work with people to get them through different difficulties?
The process is mainly listening. It's creating that space for them to be able to open up and share, so I can feel where the misalignments are. And there are a lot of tools that we can do. The reparenting with inner child healing, we actually go and sit with the little you that may have been 3, 7, 12 years old, whatever happened that day, and reparent from be the divine parent that you can be, to offer the love that was missing in that situation after processing what was there and letting that go, and then bring in the love. Because you can't just ignore what happened. So listen to them, let yourself express what you couldn't express. I mean, most of us, especially in America, we're growing up that you cannot show an emotion. My gosh, don't do that.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, it's suppressed, especially boys. Do not cry. Don't ever let anyone
Is it
see
really
that you're.
true? I've
Yeah.
heard about it, but is it true?
Mhm.
Oh my.
As a society, it's what we've accepted as normal.
But as human as we are, we have emotions, and
Mhm.
the more we suppress our emotions, it will eat us from inside,
Mhm.
isn't it? Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this is growing up in the 70s, 80s. It's changed.
Yeah,
Whether it's better or not, we don't know. The
well,
conditioning is designed to keep us emotional
we
in
create
control.
this platform where we can show emotions and just
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
so
oh,
creating a space that's non-judgmental, safe, you're able to express what you need to express. And then get so in terms of safety, there are a lot of things as we go through these traumas or mini traumas. I mean, trauma is trauma. It doesn't matter how small a paper cut it is. It can be huge, it can be tiny. They're all
exactly.
traumas. Our minds start to create mechanisms to cope and create an illusion of safety, which can interrupt the healing. So
Yeah.
those have to be addressed before they're ready. I mean, a reason that we block out a lot of those memories are to protect us. And we won't discover them again until we are ready. It's still going to be painful and scary and shocking when those things come back. I know Jeff can speak to that one. It's terrifying.
yeah.
But you were ready. You were at a point where you could handle it.
Yeah.
And you brought up a key expression too. When people were engaged and when they're active in a substance addiction, alcohol or drugs, or any number of things, it creates the illusion of acceptance. What we really want is actual acceptance, but
Mm.
in the absence of that, we do a chemically induced or a activity induced acceptance, and it feeds dopamine into our systems and gives us the false sense of security that makes it seem like what we're doing is good and okay, when it's the exact opposite. It's actually adding to our traumas.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. The illusion. That's the perfect word. Get that.
Yeah. So inner
That's
child healing,
yeah, go ahead, actress.
getting to know where they desire to be. Because a
Mm.
lot of people, when you ask them, let's say they're struggling with financial abundance, ask them what that looks like. What does that feel like? They can only describe what they wouldn't be experiencing now, which is why they cannot align with that vibration because you don't know what it is. So identifying, just by letting them talk, identifying, well, if the stress would be gone, the worry would be gone, then you can actually start to align with that. Uh, Knowing where they are, accepting where they are. We support it with energy healing. We can show people how to use energy healing to, at that level, bring up the stuff so you can actually tap into self care. There's something blocking you from caring for your body because if you've got physical pain, it's going to be really difficult to work on the mental. So
Mm.
by knowing where they are, it helps us see what they need to work on healing now, as opposed to, you know what, I'm just going to take you all the way to nirvana, bliss, enlightenment at the end. You got to start and take the first step. You don't just jump off a cliff. If you believe you can jump off this cliff and make it to the other side, you're going to fall to the middle of the valley. So healing the body, healing the mind, the emotions, so you can start to um, live a lot higher. And in terms of rock bottom, that can be, I mean, it'll force it upon us. When the universe says that your mission's activated, it's time to go. Here's rock bottom. You've got to change
Mhm.
something. You can also bring it up to wherever you are. You can have the best day of your life every day of your life if you also see it as, well, this is the lowest part of the life I'm going to experience for the rest of my life. And constantly pushing up
Yeah.
that bottom of what you'll tolerate, the standard that you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, because as they say, when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. You have to choose. You stay at the bottom of, you're gonna have to find a way up because there's only way. It's up. But
Yes.
easy to say, but
Oh, yeah.
it's
Simple,
yeah.
but not
Mm-hmm.
always easy to
But it's
put into
not
practice.
impossible though.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's essentially it's what we work with clients is tailored to meet them where they are and to help them get to where they desire to be.
Yeah.
Along the way, they're probably going to change where they desire to be because when we let go of stuff, our imagination, our ideas of what's possible will start to expand. So they are going to change.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know this was possible. Yeah, I do desire to go here.
Yeah, I think it's the most important is what I have learned is just enjoy the process wherever you are. Never think that you are in a wrong place. It's just wherever you are, whatever is happening, you have to be there. You are there. You must be there because feel the significance of the significance of the moment why you are there, why you are meeting the person, why is the event is happening. Feel the moment. That's what you said, and it is really very important because most of the people are like when they something happened and their goal is there and something is happening and they think, oh, that is an obstacle of the goal. So there is already something there that is unconsciously, it's not, you are slipping away.
I agree
You
completely,
think it's
Selena.
not the right place, but it is. You just have to see what is it. Just open, there are things that beyond the human understanding, but it's not impossible. We have to focus. If you're focused, then you can have the higher self working on.
I feel one of the biggest obstacles that are holding a lot of people back from being able to experience exactly that is the victim mindset. If you see
Mm,
yourself as a victim, it's really hard to enjoy this journey and see how everything
yeah.
is happening for a reason and this is an
Is
opportunity to
happening
do
to
something.
me. Why is it happening to me? I remember who was that? I think Elon Musk. Like life is all about understanding the right question to ask. Because when people on a rock bottom, why I'm here? Why me? Instead of rephrasing, shifting the thoughts, the idea, and the principles. Like, you know, what can I do to get out from the situation? So it is shifting. If it's why me, it's going down. Why me? So it's negative. You cannot function anymore. But if you're gonna take a deep breath and oh, it's not easy. But I'm wondering what good can I take from this when I overcome this? So you have already the inspiration. I have to overcome because you create the idea, the picture in your mind that if you get through this, there is something better.
Yep. Well, and that's the nature of change. Nobody changes until they've hurt themselves enough and see opportunity for something better. And
Mm-hmm.
depression blinds us from the opportunities that are available to us, but they're part of the learning process. We need to spend time depressed, basically hurting ourselves enough to know that, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. And after you
Mm-hmm.
hurt yourself enough and you finally, okay, that's enough of that. Now what can I do about it? And
Mm-hmm.
some people never leave that state. They want to believe that depression is a condition that they have, and I don't believe that. I believe depression is simply part of letting go. And once you sufficiently let go, you don't have to be depressed anymore.
Yeah. I call it depression is just a part of awakening. It's like growing up, growing, becoming the better version of yourself. But we understand that now. We come to understand that it is possible. But how about the 95% of, we know that there are a lot of people who are unaware of how they're gonna shift their mindset because they're gonna say, oh, the world is so cruel, life is so unfair. And that is also one of the rules of the mind that I've learned from Marisa Peer, that whatever you tell your mind, it will create a picture and that picture will manifest. If you say my life sucks, I am unlucky, I am unfortunate, so it will add up. And what picture are you going to create on that mindset? So it's the awareness, it's the understanding. If we are always aware of every event, it is a code. It's not what it is. I have learned when I got an accident, like in 2010, I was like, okay, I stop. There is no way, there is no life ahead because I was imagining myself sitting in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, and I was 35 at that moment. And then there was this little voice because I had a very serious car accident, and the doctor told me that I might be paralyzed for the rest of my life. And I was like, part of me was accepting that, like imagining what if I will sit under a wheelchair for the rest of my life. And there is this little voice in my in the back of my head. It's like, it's not happening yet. If it's not happening, it could be something else. So I refuse to accept that. No, I don't. I don't accept it. I was young. I don't accept it. And yeah, I think our mind is so powerful.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of brings up that topic again. When are people ready for this? And it's difficult as somebody. I sponsor several people, and I end up letting a lot of people go because they're not ready, or they're
Mm,
trying to do recovery for the wrong reasons, for their spouse, for their job, for to
yeah.
get something back, and it sadly doesn't work because they become an excuse factory. It's like every solution
Mm,
you offer them, either they already tried it, or that's not going to work, or they can't do it for some reason. And it's exhausting to, offering solution after solution to somebody who's not ready to change. And again, it's that factor of have they hurt themselves enough? If the answer is no, then you got to step back and let
Yeah.
them. So go ahead,
Yeah.
you get back out there and keep hurting yourself. And when you're ready, then we can talk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's been about an hour. I'm sure we could go on for another hour, but let's keep this session palatable for people.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, if I recall it correctly, if you want to get in touch with Selena directly, you will reach out to, she's got a website called chooseyoufirst.com. Is that correct?
Yes. Always choose your first.com.
Oh, always chooseyoufirst.com.
Always choose your first.com.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'll add it to the edit. And Arcturus, what's your how do people get in touch with you?
It's our website's L'Oreal and Arcturus, Loriel and A&D, Arcturus, Arcturus.
.com.
.com.
Great. And I'll add both of those to the end, and get you guys some promotion on this. But I think it was a very successful session, and I appreciate you guys coming on. It's everything seemed to make sense, and I hope this helps somebody.
There's so much we can
Yes.
talk about
Yes. Exactly.
because
We
there's
have
so
to do
many
it
places
again.
people are at.
We
Yeah.
have to do it regularly, Chef. It's amazing. It's just by doing this, just talking, it's already very productive.
Great. Well, let's look at doing that. I don't know if we want to try going Facebook Live. We might get a larger audience, or I will work on how to stream this to Facebook. I should have figured that out before 10 minutes before we started, but I didn't. So we'll
Next
look at that.
time.
But yeah, I feel like this was a really good beginning, and it's been great having you both with me on this. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Wonderful
Thank you
meeting you,
so
Selena.
much. Thank you, Jeff, for your time. Thank you, Arcturus. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Great. All right. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye. Enjoy your weekend.